The Welsh Wire, where talent and business connect in West Michigan. The Welsh Wire features moderator Mike Rogers and professional recruiting expert Sherry Welsh in this podcast. Listen in as leaders from a wide array of small to mid-sized West Michigan companies weigh in and share their experiences and insights on a variety of business topics, including employee retention challenges and recruitment success stories.
Hello, everybody. It's Mike Rogers. Welcome to the Welsh Wire, sponsored by the Family Business Alliance and featuring Sherry Welsh.
We're talking with Todd Mulder, Vice President of Commercial Banking with Old National Bank in Grand Rapids, and Heidi Smith, President of 2K Tool in Grand Rapids. And also with Heidi is her daughter, Amanda Smith, the Operations Manager in the operation. Welcome, all of you, to the Welsh Wire.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Glad to have you here. Heidi, tell us a little bit about your company, a family-owned and operated business in Grand Rapids. Tell us about it.
Okay, we are a family business within the manufacturing community of Grand Rapids. We're called 2K Tool. We specialize in mold building, mold repair, and engineering, as well as machining. My son Kevin and I started the business about 15 years ago using a small space we rented within another molding facility. My son was a trained mold maker at the time, and I had been a legal secretary in my past.
Oh, no kidding. Really?
Mm-hmm. We combined our talents, and now we own our own buildings on Madison Ave in Grand Rapids. We have 25 employees, including my daughter Amanda and my son-in-law Aric. And I would say my role would be business manager / owner of the company. So,
wonderful. And tell me again, how many years in business now?
15.
15 years in business. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you started that with the technical expertise of your son, who sounds like he's the engineer, and a little bit of business expertise that you brought into it. But somewhere along the way, the rest of the family jumped right on in there. So Amanda, tell us, how did that happen?
Well, I went to school to be a math teacher, and I did that for 2 years. And in the summer, I would go to the shop and work. And one summer, I just never left.
Really?
Yeah.
School started and you didn't go back.
I didn't go back. They dragged me in, so.
That's great. And I understand your husband works in the business.
He does,
as well.
He's
So how
also.
did he come to be a part of the business?
He was in construction, and then they started laying people off, and he would drive truck and work on small machinery, and he's been there ever since. I think 10 years now. So
and now he's a programmer.
Yeah, now he is the programmer in the machining area.
Oh, that's fantastic. So everybody's hands-on in the operation. That's great. And you work with Todd. Todd is your banker at Old National Bank. Todd, tell us a little bit about your role there at the bank, what you do.
Well, I'm a commercial banker, and I assist companies with the financing they need for their operations, as well as to grow the business. I also serve as kind of the quarterback for the bank's products and services, which would include things like deposit accounts, online banking, treasury management, retirement planning services. And then in addition to that, I like to act as a consultant, helping companies as they're making key business decisions.
Excellent. And I understand that you've had the pleasure of working with Heidi and 2K Tool for a number of years.
That's correct. Both at a prior bank as well as at Old National for approximately 7 years.
Great. So how did that banking relationship come to be? Heidi, tell us about that.
Well, we've had a long history now, I think about 8 years, with Todd as our banker. Most recently, we found that the bank that we had been currently using was not really supportive of our industry any longer, and Todd had moved on into a different bank. So many of our customers don't pay within 60 days. It's usually a longer process with automotive. They go in card approval. And so we were having a little bit of issues with that. So the payment can take up to a year almost. So we found that Todd and Old National had better options for us to work with.
Great.
In that area.
So it sounds like he left the bank he was at and gone someplace else, and you went and found him.
Actually, my son Kevin found him.
You can run, but you can't hide.
did answer the phones.
All good, absolutely. And you shared with us some stories that I think our listeners would love to hear about a banking partner in Todd that goes above and beyond. I mean, he's done and provided some creative and really helpful solutions that have had a huge impact in your business over the years. Tell us about a couple of those challenges that you have worked on together and that Todd's helped you solve.
Well, one of them was the Lien Act, which I think I'll let Todd explain that one a little bit.
The company had a rather large and extended receivable from a customer, and I asked them if they had filed their lien on the molds that they had built and took advantage of the special Lien Tool Act as well as the Mold Lien Act that were fairly new. And what it allows the company to do is record their lien on the tools, engrave their name and address on the tools, and in the event the customer doesn't pay, they have the ability to pick up the tool, effectively stopping production. So in today's just-in-time environment, it's pretty difficult for an end user to find another mold to produce their parts. So it gives them much greater leverage to make sure that they get paid.
Absolutely. And that was a new act, a relatively new act.
Yeah.
At that time.
Now today's the 10th anniversary, so yeah.
But at that time, being new, it sounds like 2K Tool, Heidi and the team weren't aware of that yet.
Yeah, we had heard of it, but Todd knew more about it than we did. So we looked into it more and did file the liens, and that was a blessing. Because being a tool shop, we're at the bottom of the payment schedule, and they can put the tools into production and without paying their final.
Yeah, we'll get to you when we get to you, Heidi. Yeah.
So we've had a lot of that. So this did save us in that situation.
What was the impact in your business? What difference did it make for you in learning about that?
Big difference. Now we are putting liens on most new tools that we build.
Okay.
Yeah. We can take them off if everything's fine, but this way we're covered.
Okay. And you're getting paid? Are you getting paid on time?
We have been.
No?
Some of them take pretty long, but we have been getting paid.
But with the knowledge that tool can be pulled.
No, we have that. Yes.
If they're not abiding by their covenants with you in terms of their payment terms, then you can go right back. And so that was a huge thing for your business.
Yeah, in the earlier example, that company actually went out of business a couple weeks later.
Mm-hmm. So, no kidding.
Yeah, so we would have been left.
Yes.
Yeah. Being a smaller company, we just can't afford to have that.
Absolutely not. No, so really great help and insight that Todd brought to you in that sense. And there was another example that you told us about, too, where Todd helped you out with expanding your credit availability. Tell us a little bit about that.
That is the norm with most banks, is that they will give you a credit for up to 60 days. If the account receivable goes up beyond 60 days, it drops off as part of the amount of credit you can have. Mm-hmm. And with dealing with automotive, they're not near that. They will do it on part approval, which could go up to a year in a lot of cases. So that wasn't working well for us building a lot of new tools. So,
can see how it would create a serious cash flow issue pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And in order to get the job, you have to be able to do that.
Yes.
So now Todd is able to provide that longer extension on the payments.
Yeah. So how did you do that, Todd? That couldn't have been necessarily an easy thing to put together.
Well, it certainly helps when you have a company that's well established, successful, has a good balance sheet, has a good operating history. So we were able to not only give them a larger line of credit, but increase the availability that they could borrow underneath that. Yeah, it was a great opportunity, and I appreciated the fact that they looked me up. The company works hard to try to collect progress payments from these customers. Sometimes they can, many times they can't. So the receivables do get very extended, and they have a lot of cash tied up. So, yeah, I I think also helps Heidi sleep at night.
Yes, it does.
For sure. The whole family. Let's be honest. It helps the whole family sleep well at night.
Right,
that is a big deal.
It is.
Well, and I'm guessing that a little bit of what went into the success of expanding that credit line for you there at the bank was your long-term relationship. The two of you working together.
Yes, exactly.
Todd had a history with you and could really, I would think, advocate, right? I mean, the numbers speak for themselves and the financial statements tell the story, but with your history, you can advocate to the bank who might say, I don't know about extending this. Who are these folks? And, we don't usually give these kind of terms, right?
Correct. We discussed earlier the Mold Lien Act, and that gives them a strong tool to make sure that they ultimately receive their payment. So from a banking perspective, that also gives the bank confidence that even though the receivable may be extended, they're ultimately going to collect on that mold or tool if that customer wants to keep producing parts.
Right. So it worked really, really well to get that second part of the problem solved for you down the road.
Yes,
excellent.
Yeah.
So it's clear that Todd and Old National have had together a really tremendous impact on your business. For other family-owned businesses or small businesses that are considering the effectiveness of their banking relationships right now, and wondering how they can get to work with someone as great as Todd, put that together. So what would you recommend to other companies who might be looking for a relationship like this with their banker?
Well, I think that partnering with a banker who understands your industry is very important.
Okay.
Todd understands the manufacturing industry a lot. And you have to click in a way that you trust the relationship to. Like, I really feel that Todd has our best interest at heart, and I can communicate quite well with Todd.
It appears so.
Maybe sometimes too well.
The financial side of the business is probably the most stressful, and complicated.
I think it is for most companies, too. That's what keeps you up at night, right? You got to make the payroll.
So I really feel having a banker who is knowledgeable and invested in us and our business, it makes the biggest difference.
Yes.
So,
yeah. What difference has that relationship made in the work that you do, Amanda? Because you work with purchasing a little bit and you work with the operations. Does it affect what you do in any way?
Yes, it does. When we originally will build a mold, there's a lot of material costs up front. So that's the steel, your components, and if you have to have mold bases. So knowing that the money is available, we can make those large purchases and have confidence in it.
That's great. Right. So tremendous impact. Anything else, Heidi, that you might add about developing a partnership?
Well, we definitely are looking forward to a continued relationship with Todd and Old National, because I feel confident in that way that we can, if we wanted to build even more tools, that we can have open discussion. And we have started a molding facility too that we're talking about expanding that possibly too. So just the comfort of being able to, when Todd left the last bank, it was like, oh my, what am I going to do?
Sure.
Yeah, then Kevin found him. It's just much more comfortable because like I said, I trust his answers to us. I don't think he's scared to say this probably isn't a good idea. So it's very, to have an open relationship like that you can be very honest is a very good thing.
Right. Excellent. Well, I know you've got big plans for the future of 2K Tool. You've alluded to a little bit of them right now.
Yeah. We've been growing steadily. We've tried not to build as we can. I don't want to go over our heads too far or anything financially, but we've been growing steady, very steady we started with just Kevin and Ken and myself, and now we've got 25 of us, and it's doing well and keeping very busy. And we've opened this small molding facility now so that we can even do tool tryouts off our molds.
Yes.
That's where I spend half of
She's there a lot of the time too.
Amanda's there a lot with that. Yeah.
Trying to get it up and running.
Yeah. So we do have regular molding business going into there too.
Production work in there now also. So.
2Gen.
Great.
TK and 2Gen. Yeah.
Oh, great.
So it's been going well, and we're thrilled that we're back working with Todd again. Yeah.
Absolutely. We trust that Todd and Old National are going to be right there with you, helping share in your success and support you throughout the growth and continued success of your operation. Okay. If our listeners have questions and want to learn more about your operation, Heidi and Amanda, how could they reach out to you to talk to you about what you do there at 2K Tool? What's the best way to reach you? Maybe email?
Yeah, I think email would be good. Mine would be just Heidi, Heidi, at 2ktool.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific. And Todd, if our listeners are saying, wow, we'd like to get to know Todd or the folks at Old National because they're great to work with, we'd love to know more about them. How can they reach you, Todd?
I would love them to contact me. They can reach me at my email address is todd.mulder@oldnational.com. And that's Todd with 2 Ds.
All right. Terrific. Todd, Heidi, Amanda, thank you for being our guests today on the Welsh Wire.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Welsh Wire. We hope you'll join us for the next episode. For more information, visit welshandassociates.net.